Slumlord won't let the company out of a 5-year lease. I get the building condemned. To start, this is about the company I work for and a trip I took because I had to wire a building for a computer network because the building owner wouldn't. Backstory. Our company was moving a remote site to a new building. As the IT guy for the company, I was asked to look at the new building and get network ports marked out. The landlord refused to put in any low voltage lines. And we got quotes. But they were thousands of dollars. Enter me, my car, and 4 boxes of Cat 6 plenum. It's about an 8-hour drive. And I was doing about 30 drops. Not a ton. But still. A few days work in someplace that's already built up. And it's drop ceiling with insulation on top. Messy. Itchy work. Story. Day 1. We get there Monday morning at the start of the month. It's actually a cool summer morning. And we're from further south. So no one notices the AC not working for about an hour. Slowly, the building begins heating up. It gets to 80 by noon. 85 at 3 p.m. The rooms with floor-to-ceiling windows or greenhouses. It's absolutely miserable. We've been told by the workers still on site that the leasing company was told there was no AC in our building 3 weeks ago. The other thing is there are still workers on site. The building isn't completed. So much for being ready for a handover day 1. Day 2. We're getting agitated. It's 80 degrees in the AM when we first walk in. It's sweltering. The other guy that came up with me is the facilities manager. He's screaming at people over the phone to fix the F-King AC. We're all exhausted from the heat by 3 p.m. I found a 4-foot hole in the ducting when I opened the ceiling tile. The AC was blowing. But there was no cold air. We are told the compressor is broken. Day 3. More of the same. Miserable in the morning. I'm finally getting the last lines punched in on the patch panel. The AC guys arrive about 10 a.m. They finally fix the unit at 2 p.m. We ask them what they did. They said, a lot of things. We again said, what did you do? The reply was, we can't tell the tenants. Red flag alert. We contacted our realtor. She said she would look into what was done. She sends an email later that night that says, they changed the refrigerant from R22 to R410A. I tell the facilities guy, no way dude. That's like putting gas in a diesel motor. They'd have to change out the entire system. They didn't do that in 4 hours. They basically duct taped and WD-40 that thing back together and it will run poorly for a month or so. Then give out. And we'd be stuck with a replacement. Day 4. Still no running water to some areas. Still workers on site. The AC can't keep up with the noonday sun. And it still hits around 80 by the end of the day. AC runs continuously. We're packing up all the stuff we moved in and moving out. I notice all the fire sprinklers look like they have moved. And the metal protection around the drop tile has fallen to the floor. The sprinklers are no longer protruding from the tiles in places. In others, they are quite a bit lower than they were. Yep. The AC fools stood on the fire sprinklers to fix their lousy duct work. We are looking for a friendly way out. We contact the landlord and say, you haven't delivered a finished building. We're moving out. The lease is broken. Landlord has a 36-page lease. Landlord won't let us out of the lease. It's 5 years. This is not starting off well. We get in contact with the corporate lawyer and the realtor. They both agree we're kind of F-ked. We are desperate for any way out. I start looking at the fire system. I used to run all kinds of low voltage lines. Fire. Security. Etc. There is no fire panel in our portion of the building. No smoke detectors are hooked up to anything. More red flags. One of our employees that was moving the heavy gear says, "Oh yeah. I meant to mention. I never saw any building permits anywhere, ding ding ding. They did this build out, including demolition, running new plumbing and power lines, and destroying the fire system, without a city permit. Cue the call to city inspector's office. Day 5. I wasn't here for this part, but the facilities manager told me this. The city inspector pulled the permits for the building. There weren't any. He finds multiple violations of city code. Red tagged our area. Removed the certificate of occupancy. When I told him to check the fire system like you said, he just goes, "Oh no. 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 I have to make a call." He calls the fire marshal. Day 8. Fire marshals arrive on scene. Find no active alarm system in our portion of the building. Red tag. Find the sprinkler riser for the entire building in our area. No water pressure. Condemned the entire building. Basically, they wouldn't let us out of the building because we signed a lease, even though they never delivered a building in any semblance of working order. Called the building inspector. Got them smoked. Who then called the fire marshal, who condemned the entire building. They are still trying to fight us over it, but we're pushing for them not only refunding our deposit and the rent, which they have already done, but for all the time spent moving gear in and out, and all the wiring. Our lawyer says they don't have a leg to stand on, and he's happy for them to pay his fees as well. Nice job, op. It's always nice to read whenever a corrupt individual corporation gets their just desserts. Sorry you had to deal with the terrible working conditions for 5 days though. That sounds awful. Once the fire marshal condemns it, it's game over. They do not mess around. Not for nothing is the fire code known as the life safety code. Epic. Well played. The best part is if he was doing that commercial. You know he cut corners residential. You possibly saved lives. I think this is so pleasing not just because it's such a complete correction, but because it's so damn clean. This reminds me of my daughter and her husband signing an offer on a house with a big garden and 2 big air conditioners outside. They included a demand that they had to approve the building inspection they were paying for. The inspector's report stated that there was no ducting for any air conditioning and it was therefore non-existent. The seller took the house off the market. Well, that's just wonderful. I like this. Even if the landlord holds you to that lease, they are on the hook for unfucking the building, and at a minimum you won't be required to pay for lease until the issues are resolved. End communication. That's how you throw cable. Well played. It's hard to believe they are still pushing forward legally regarding the lease. My guess is they will run out of money soon and won't be able to afford the lawyers' hourly rates. For those of you unaware of U.S. building code, basically, the fire marshal is not to be fucked with. Anyone who does will undoubtedly find out. They've held up city halls. The city governor moved in before certificate of occupancy (CO) is issued. Had to move back out and wait until the fire marshal got fixed what needed to be fixed. Basically, in a meeting where everyone has to compromise, the fire marshal doesn't have to compromise. They get what they want and that's that. As a now former lawyer, I always enjoyed seeing the opposition paying much more. Mostly in fines. Far beyond what I wanted. A full refund. Not even damages. In small cases I did as a favor for reasons. Friend. Good client otherwise. Etc. You better believe I went for full fees at that point. This is satisfying to read. Holy shit dude. This is absolutely amazing. Well done. I mean, nicely done. But shouldn't your lawyers and the realtor figured the permit issues out before you had to? Oh, yeah. You do not fuck with commercial fire systems. Building inspectors will kick butt and take names. But the fire marshal will fry your ass. P. S. Q. A line. Q. A signal. I queued the next person to move forward in the queue. Dash. Please don't let those idiots give all of us commercial HVAC techs a bad name. Me and most of my colleagues are very capable and professional. On a technical note, R22 systems can be retrofitted to 407C. Perhaps lost in translation to 401? With only an oil change. And 422B can be dropped in without even changing the oil. It's compatible with mineral oil just like R22, but the R22 must be removed completely. As with any refrigerant retro. However, up to a 10% drop in capacity can be expected. So on a system that barely keeps up, it's not always an option. This could be done in a few hours and happens a lot when there are leaks that resulted in refrigerant loss. R22 is going at $125 a pound, so many customers opt to take the hit on capacity versus a refrigerant charge that rivals system replacement costs. Standing on sprinkler lines? Inexcusable. It's good that you're getting out of this disaster. But your company really needs to find a better real estate lawyer. If you, as a tenant, don't have any immediate outs for non-performance, not being able to deliver usable space on the promised date, then you shouldn't be signing that lease. Everybody rants about shitty residential landlords. But some commercial property owners will be every bit as bad if they can get away with it. Nicely done. Pro tip. When working with insulation, if you cover yourself in baby powder, it won't stick to you. That just warms my heart. I love seeing dirty deeders done dirty.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.